Newscast
with
Mapala Zita.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to today's Royal Afternoon Edition, the 2 p.m. news on 88.4 Royal FM with me, Mapala Zita. Our top stories. The second biannual conference of regional governors has gone underway today in Yaoundé, with Territorial Administration Minister Paul Atanganji urging the governors to intensify the fight for peace in Cameroon and respect directives from their hierarchy.
I therefore call on you governors to follow with keen attention the joint presentation by the Secretary of State and the Minister of Defense in charge of the National Gendarmerie and the Delegate General for National Security.
Out of Cameroon, Sudan's Rapid Support Forces say they are set to enter into a 3-month humanitarian truce. And in sports, Cameroon's 2 athletes are en route to Egypt for this year's World Karate Championship, which opens on Thursday. Ladies and gentlemen, those were the headlines. Good afternoon. You're welcome to the 2 p.m. news on Royal FM. We talk health to say the Lamamu Hospital Complex is carrying out activities to fight against prostate cancer in men. The activities include screening services for prostate cancer, diabetes, frailty, muscular disorder, and many others. This is in line with the Blue November campaign aimed at preventing and detecting prostate cancer at an early stage. Details with editorialist and director of informations Abel Belasamari.
In his mission to put man at the center of his priority, Group Renapo Finance SA through the Mamo Hospital Complex has come up with a health campaign for people above 40 years old, dubbed Blue November. Blue November is a global campaign that raises awareness about prostate cancer and promotes early detection and prevention. Dr. Jean-Amy Baya of the Mamo Hospital Complex explained the symbolism of this Blue November.
The symbol is just the following of Pink October. You see that Pink October deal with the cancer in the female population. So just after this Pink October, we go to the Blue November that deal with the health of the male, especially the male above 40 years old.
Aging with health is a continuous process of optimizing opportunity to maintain and improve physical and mental health, independence and quality of life through life courses.
You know that the prostatic gland is something that you get in your pelvis, in all male pelvis, and it's a gland that with the age you start to have some troubles. And you're supposed to look after your prostatic antigens. So you have to do blood tests. You call that prostatic specific antigens. It's a blood test that you have to do every year to be sure that you have a properly function of your gland, of your prostatic gland.
The Mamo Hospital Complex from the 1st to the 30th of November 2025 have been offering a range of screening services for prostate cancer, as Dr. Jean-Emile Baya explained.
We propose you a follow-up. As I told you, it's a prostatic gland. It's something that can be damaged with your age. So you have to take care of it every year. So we have a special invoice for people who want to deal with the prostatic troubles. We have physicians that specialize in this field.
Dr. Jean-Emile Bahia goes further in his explanation.
So you can come to the complex, we do blood tests, as I told you, and we do an echography of your prostatic gland to make sure that everything is okay. And after that, you will be sent to...
Older people must be catered for. Dr. Jean-Emile Bahia outlined the importance of these campaigns.
Yeah, the first aim, the most aim of this campaign is to avoid male to get into cancer, because cancer is very difficult to treat, especially in Africa, because you have to have special means. A lot of means is something that not everybody can afford, because if you have two steps, you have the surgery steps and you have the medical test, the steps. So in the surgical field, sometimes we have to remove your testicles. That is something that's very embarrassing for the African people.
With November gradually drawing to an end, the management of the Mamu Hospital Complex, through the voice of Dr. Jean-Emile Bahia, affirmed the possibility of extending the campaign.
Of course, the Mamu Hospital is the house of all Cameroonians, so we're still open and we're still there to take care of the Cameroonian people. So we have the other fields, other specialty of medicine. So every disease you have, every concern you have, you can come to the Mamu Hospital and we will take care of you.
Gone are the days when people died of ignorance and finances. Today, the Mamu Hospital Complex, known as the home of mutualists, is out to give you the health status that you deserve despite your present situation.
Staffman Abel Bella summary in that report. The second biannual conference of regional governors opens today in Yaoundé. Deliberations for the two-day meeting will center on the theme administrative authorities and the maintenance of law and order in the post-election period. This is taking place under the chairmanship of the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji. The proceedings began at 11 a.m. with an address by the minister and followed by a joint statement from the Secretary of State to the Ministry of Defense, responsible for the Gendarmerie, Etoga Galax Yves Landry. Let's now listen to the reactions of some governors few minutes to the start of today's conference. Our Fonka Augustine is the governor of the West region of Cameroon.
Actually, my region was affected by post-electoral violence, and we registered this particularly in Banka, Bafa, Cham, to a lesser extent at Buda and Bafusam. As at today, I would like to let you know that calm has returned. People are going about their activities peacefully in all the domains. The business persons are back to work, back to business. The farmers are back to their farms, and the other workers are back to their respective places of work. Calm has returned, and all activities are going on peacefully. And we're looking forward towards end-of-year activities in peace, and equally preparing for the regional council election, which are coming up in a few days' time. So I think that is globally the atmosphere that reigns in the West region as at today.
The second biannual conference of governors is taking place in the aftermath of a post-election crisis. The governor of the Far North region, Mijiyawa Bakari, reflects on the sequence of events during this period.
The security situation is back to normalcy. In Far North region, there is no major problem. Agris is back to their field. School have been reopened. Even trader and cattle brother, each and everyone is his daily basis. The Far North region during this election keep its place. So we are quiet, there is no stress, the development is still going. Head of State went to the Far North region, and his campaign speech, he promised a lot of things, and he speak without any discrimination. He stated what one can say to people, and it is, we are obvious, people are confident of upcoming the development will follow.
Let's also listen to Northwest Regional Governor Adolphe Lele Lafrique, who is in one of the two regions that has been facing a socio-political unrest since 2016.
The Northwest is very well, despite some of the security challenges we are still having there. We have been able to organize peacefully the presidential elections and are now preparing for the regional elections and anticipating also the preparation of the end of year festivities with measures taken since the beginning of the presidential elections. And even now, as we are speaking, the device is there, and we are hoping that with all those measures taken and followed out and accompanied by the local population as usual, we are going to celebrate peacefully the end of year festivities. The population are going about their activities. The major project that has been launched are ongoing. Matazan Bamenda Road is already open. They have started the Bamenda Urban Crossing, and the Ring Road project is ongoing. So, despite the challenges we face after the elections, the Northwest region was not touched, even if some of the impact that occur in other regions impacted our region.
Here now is an excerpt of Minister Paul Atanganji's discourse as he opens deliberations today.
The second biannual conference of regional governors is taking place on the eve of the end of year festivities. A period of great excitement that calls for special security measures. During our deliberations, we will discuss measures to effectively combat urban and inter-urban crime, organized crime, terrorism, and abuse of alcohol and drugs in certain parts of our country. Relentless measures must be taken to fight against this phenomenon of drug addiction, which is spreading like wildfire in schools and universities nationwide. I therefore call on you governors to follow with keen attention the joint presentation by the Secretary of State and the Minister of Defense in charge of the National Gendarmerie and the Delegate General for National Security.
All gentlemen were speaking on the microphone of our reporter, Claude Bao Keng. A capacity building workshop for state and non-state actors in the protection chain for forcibly displaced persons as well as stateless people has opened today in Yaoundé. The three-day event organized by the Cameroon Human Rights Commission and the United Nations High Commission for Refugees is aimed at building the capacity of Cameroonian administrative staff and non-state actors who regularly come into contact with refugees, asylum seekers, internally displaced persons, and stateless persons. Let's now listen to Jérôme Sébastien Frank Melin, who is the deputy representative from the Cameroon Human Rights Commission. He spoke in this excerpt selected for us by political desk editor and editorialist Jean-Marie Anaba.
We will work with the actors from the judicial system, the police, civil society. All together, we need to reinforce our action for the protection of this person, but to find sustainable solution for them, sustainable response. And we need to understand we are in a difficult period because there is a strong decrease of funding for the humanitarian activity. We need to continue this mission, and we will continue as UNHCR. We have this mandate, and we will support the authorities to continue. But we need also to accelerate the transfer of capacity to the authorities and to work more with other actors, to work with development actors from the private sector, to find solutions, to give capacity, possibility, sustainable solution for this person and more inclusion for them. So this workshop is an example of how we will continue to work really together, strongly together with the Commission of Human Rights in Cameroon and the government.
An international colloquium on the theme International Humanitarian Law and Artificial Intelligence, African Perspectives has taken place today at the Red Cross Hall in Yaoundé. The initiative, which is spearheaded by the regional delegation of the International Committee of the Red Cross and the University of Yaoundé too, took place in the presence of the Minister of Post and Telecommunications, Minette Libom Lilikeng, who spoke to our reporter, Annie Lizette Ambassa, after the colloquium. Take a listen.
This symposium is very important for us in Cameroon. You know already that we are involved in the development of a national strategy on the development of artificial intelligence. And you know that artificial intelligence is really shaking all what we are doing. And this symposium is about war, because today people use robots on the fight. Who is responsible when a robot can kill you and so on. So this symposium is very important because with people, the specialists in charge of law, they will think how to reorganize the international law about artificial intelligence. And for us in Cameroon, the output of this symposium will be very important for us as we want to develop a national strategy of artificial intelligence. We want Cameroonian, we are able to train our own artificial intelligence. But to do it, we need infrastructure, we need data, because it's about algorithms.
Still to come in this newscast, Cameroonians will be reacting to the dilapidating state of some public buildings.
This is just confirming that Cameroon is not a serious country, because I don't understand how public institutions are surrounded with waste.
It's very regrettable and very disgraceful that many of our public buildings are in a state of dilapidation.
Welcome back. If you are just tuning in, you are listening to the 2 p.m. News on Royal FM. Cameroon today joins the rest of the world to commemorate the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women under the theme Break the Silence, End the Violence. The premise of the day is to raise awareness around the world that women are subjected to rape, domestic violence, and other forms of violence. In this view, Amy Banda, a gender activist and founder of Target Peace, is organizing a virtual event under the theme Women and Girls Organizing the World. Our reporter Ngang Nadesh had an exchange with her and now reports.
The United Nations designated the 25th of November to highlight that the scale and true nature of violence against women is often hidden. Amy Banda is a gender activist and founder of Target Peace, an NGO that fights against all forms of violence.
Today we are tackling violence against women. We are uniting in energy. We are uniting in beliefs and values and aspirations, in actions, in thoughts, and in words to end digital violence against women and girls. From online harassment and cyber stalking to deep fakes, doxing, and coordinated misogynistic attacks, technology facilitated GBV has emerged as a disturbing new form of abuse.
The event serves as a rallying call to all stakeholders, urging collective action and commitment to play their part in eradicating gender-based violence and fostering a culture of respect, equality, and justice.
It seeks to mobilize all members of society. Governments must end impunity through laws and penalize it. Technology companies must ensure the safety of platforms and remove harmful content. Donors, you can't keep the money in the bank accounts. You have to provide funding so that feminist organizations can work to eradicate violence, and people like you must raise your voices to help survivors.
The activists anticipate that these events will galvanize a renewed sense of purpose and solidarity among stakeholders, inspiring concrete actions and commitments that will ultimately lead to a significant reduction in gender-based violence and create a safer and more equitable society for all.
Use the internet and online space to drive purpose-driven initiatives that change our world, add value, build people, and build solid blocks, or rather, uses it to implement violence and abuse. We will be glad to know that many more women, after listening to the conversation, will not only break the silence, they will end violence, and most of all, be the reason no other woman out there cries. It will be our pride to know that there is no femicide.
Amy Banda concludes with a powerful call to action as she urges all parties to unite and collaborate in the fight against gender-based violence.
We focus in online, but we cannot overemphasize the importance of touching the other aspects of violence, robbing the woman of her dignity, her integrity, and her credibility. The Ubuntu spirit is one we also champion, because alone we can't go far. Together we break the barriers. Together we build solid blocks. Together we build the bridges via which other generations will cross over, uplifting the same values, beliefs, and aspirations.
Statistics show that 38% of women have experienced online violence and 85% have witnessed digital violence. 67% of women who have reported these tactics admit that misinformation and defamation are the most prevalent forms of online violence against women and girls. 90 to 95% of online deepfakes are non-consensual pornographic images, and 73% of women journalists experience online violence, with 20% reporting offline attacks connected to online violence.
From the fight against gender-based violence, we talk economy. Over 20,000 Cameroonians have migrated from Cameroon to Canada for 2024 alone. This, according to media reports and statistics, a phenomenon that has caused the country lots of economic losses and deficits in several domains. Evans Williams Njobati in this slide caught up with an expert in the sector to know the reason for the sudden immigration and its effect on the Cameroonian economy.
According to official statistics from immigration reports, Canada admitted 10,355 Cameroonians between January and June 2024, and a previous figure of 7,845 was reported for the same period, resulting in a total of 18,200 within the first half of 2025, with over 10,000 Cameroonians granted permanent residence, summing up to approximately 36,000 persons on the Canadian soil. Chumulu Eugene expatiates on some of the causes of these.
They are going out there for greener pastures, meaning that they want to get what is more better than what Cameroonians are offering to them, to be employed, because even some that are here are underemployed. Some have gone out because politically the country is unstable, and as a result, others are running for safety, others are going to engage in other activities that will benefit them and their different families.
And talking about the effects, the economic teacher highlights the fall in the working force among other impacts.
It is not only on the political aspect of it. Others are going to carry out investment activities in those areas. They are businessmen and they see businesses more profitable in those areas because of a reduction in taxes as compared to that of Cameroonians. Tax rates in Cameroon are very high, and it discourages many people from investing and carry out activities in Cameroon.
Added to this, our economist Chumulu Eugene Wazimbi further details on how this phenomenon has equally influenced other sectors.
The level of economic growth will be very slow and may equally fall. There will be a fall in the reproductive stage. People moving out are people that are of the childbearing age. There will be what we call high dependency ratio, and once there is high dependency ratio, and as a result of this, there is a poor standard of living, and now the cost of living will be very high to these people. There is what we call brain drain. The highly educated ones are leaving, and when they leave behind those that are less educated, and so they select the best and go out, while those that are average, they remain in the country.
Going by the September release of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, Cameroon is ahead of Nigeria and Eritrea, with the most residents in the Northern American country, and the immigration of skilled professionals in key sectors such as health and education denoted as alarming.
Still in economic news, Yaoundé is playing host to a major African economic gathering as the Bank of Central African States convenes the 47th annual meeting of the Association of African Central Banks. Within the context of surging economic and monetary challenges like that of the CFA francs, experts explore the potential benefits and the implications of breaking away from this currency on Cameroon's economy. Jeffrey Tachum spoke to some of them and compiled their reactions in this report.
Moving away from the CFA francs and adopting a national currency could give Cameroon and other countries in the CEMAC zone a greater monetary autonomy. Jamo Haiwang is an economist and research analyst at the Cameroon Economic Policy Institute.
Currently, monetary policy is largely influenced by the French Treasury, and part of our reserves are held in Paris, limiting our ability to adjust interest rates or manage liquidity according to domestic needs. I think a national currency would allow for policies better aligned with local economic cycles, support growth, and strengthen economic sovereignty.
Meanwhile, Henry Kwam is of the opinion that our central banks need to direct our economies towards the payment of trade and products across the continent using African currencies.
The majority of our imports are paid for in dollars, which means that our central banks have to hold a lot of dollars. So our economies are essentially dollarized. Our commercial banks are also borrowing in dollars from international investors. And so any sudden change in the value of the dollar immediately impacts our economies. Our central banks need to direct our economies to start paying for trade and for products across Africa using African currencies.
And as the Central Bank of African States is faced with pressing monetary challenges, her option of breaking away from this colonial currency is conceivable. However, making it possible will depend on her ability to fulfill a certain number of conditions, as Jamo Haiwang explains.
It would also provide more flexibility to finance development projects and invest in infrastructure without relying solely on external debt. However, such a transition requires strong macroeconomic discipline, robust foreign exchange reserve, and credible institutions to prevent inflation and maintain investor confidence. Done carefully, it could be a historic step toward economic independence for the CEMAC region.
The 47th annual meetings of the Association of African Central Banks, hosted in Yaoundé, will bring together governors and representatives from central banks across the continent and international institutions to discuss major African economic and monetary issues. The decisions taken at the end of this event will have strategic implications for the entire continent.
On to something else in this newscast. In Cameroon today, it has been noticed that some public properties are in a state of dilapidation, often surrounded by garbage piles. This as a result of neglect and lack of maintenance by the government. Cameroonians have been reacting to this phenomenon, which taints the country's image. Our reporter, Glory Ngange, compiled their reactions in this report.
Public spaces like roads, squares, and even state-owned edifices are often found in deplorable states, a phenomenon that citizens strongly condemn.
This is just confirming that Cameroon is not a serious country, because I don't understand how public institutions are surrounded with waste.
It's actually concerning, especially at a time when hygiene and environmental protection are strongly promoted.
It's very regrettable and very disgraceful that many of our public buildings are in a state of dilapidation, abandonment. Some of them, they are very dirty. They have become like dumping sites for waste. That does not reflect the nature of public buildings and how they should be preserved.
Agnes and Godwill both hold their peers and the government responsible for the misuse and mismanagement of these properties.
This situation persists mainly due to a weak maintenance culture, limited accountability, poor waste management systems, and a general lack of civic responsibility among users.
It is just because of a lack of will, both on the part of the government and the part of citizens. So I think that it's a collective responsibility to ensure that these places are kept in a state that reflects the country. Citizens must ensure that they don't dispose waste around public buildings, while the state itself must ensure that state buildings are properly maintained.
Hussein, on his part, highlights some methods that can be implemented to ensure the maintenance of public assets.
At least they should engage, even if after 2 days, personnel that are going to keep the surrounding clean. Izakam is already there for us, though they are not even coming at every moment. We're unable to keep our quarters clean, but at least public institutions should be clean, because that is what sells the country.
The prevalence of waste and dilapidation in these government properties undermines efforts to promote hygiene and public health, reflecting a crucial societal problem.
Out of Cameroon, Sudan's Rapid Support Forces are set to enter into a 3-month humanitarian truce, followed by peace talks with the Sudanese army. Speaking in a video late last night, the paramilitary commander General Mohamed Hamdan Dagolo reiterated the group's commitment to a 3-month humanitarian truce and called on mediators to pressure the military to accept the proposals. The two leading candidates in Guinea-Bissau's presidentials have declared victory, even as the country still awaits official results, which are expected later today. Thus, according to local media reports, the camp of Fernando Dias, seen as the main challenger of President Umaru Sissoco Embalo, was the first to claim victory. Embalo's agents also said their candidates had won more than 50% of the vote in a bid to avoid a runoff. We talk sports after this break. Two Cameroonian athletes, Olivia Gaboya and Nelly Yumbi, are set to represent Cameroon at the World Karate Championship in Egypt from November the 27th to November the 30th. The athletes secured their spots at the African Karate Championship in Abuja, Nigeria, where they grabbed a gold and bronze medal. According to the organizers, the championship will feature 88 countries and about 500 athletes who will compete across 3 different categories. And in basketball, the countdown is on for Cameroon's senior men's basketball team, who are barely 2 days away from their campaign for the 2027 World Cup qualifier. The first challenge in Tunisia will be against Cape Verde on Thursday, and 2 other games against Libya and South Sudan as they seek a spot in the World Cup. In view of their opening match, Biwa Bryan takes a look at the final roster selected by coach Alfred Aboya.
The roster is made up of 12 players, including the likes of Brice Ayega, Fabiana Teba, Jeremiah Hills, Jordan Bayehi, and 8 others. While the final roster is deemed a good selection, its formation was a challenging endeavor dictated by external factors, which in turn forced a pragmatic focus on players' availability, as highlighted by basketball consultant Yves Tala.
I guess it is a good selection, more players available because we have many players injured, William Naras and Betcom Sami, Paul Bois, and we have players unavailable because of the NBA season. We can talk about Yves Thierry Missy.
Notwithstanding these documented challenges, the squad maintains a strong core, which expert considers one of the most strengths of the indomitable Lions. It features players with positional depth who bring valuable experience and continuity from their competitions in leagues across Europe and Asia.
We have half of the players who were at the Afro-Basket. We have Captain Ateba, Jeremiah Hill, Valentin Lele, Jordan Bayehe, Brice Ayaga, and Tamena Show. Those 6 players were at the Afro-Basket.
Another notable aspect of the selection is that the roster blends seasoned international household names with newcomers like Ronia Wanki and Gaston Abega. But the consultant cautions that for obvious reasons, the 2 new additions are expected to be integrated into the starting lineup only gradually.
We don't expect to start the game, so they are going to wait, perhaps coming off the bench to play. They are there to learn and perhaps to see. We are going to see how encounters go, and perhaps if we have players in the foul trouble, it's going to open the opportunities for them.
The African qualifiers are structured in a two-rounded system, with only the top 3 teams from Group A entitled to advance to the second round, where they will match with the top teams from other groups to continue their fight for one of Africa's 5 spots at the World Cup in Qatar.
The 5th day of the UEFA Champions League will kick off this evening, Brian, and you have the fixtures.
The evening will kick off with 2 early matches at 6:45 p.m. in Amsterdam, where the struggling Ajax team, who are still struggling to have their first point, will desperately seek to face off against Benfica. Simultaneously in Istanbul, Galatasaray will face off against Union, while at 9 p.m. the spotlight will shine at Stamford Bridge in North London, where Chelsea and Barcelona, both tied at 7 points, will face off in a match that is essentially a must-win for both sides to gain an edge in a race to qualify for the next stage. Over at the Etihad Stadium in England, Manchester City, who are comfortably placed near the top of the table, will welcome Bayer Leverkusen. Other significant matchups include Borussia Dortmund against Villarreal at the Signal Iduna Park and Olympique Marseille versus Newcastle United at the Orange Velodrome in France. Napoli, meanwhile, will go head-to-head with Qarabağ FK in Italy, and FK Bodo Glimt will take on Italian giants Juventus in Norway, while the final fixture of the night will see SK Slava Prague battle against Athletic Club, concluding the packed schedule that will surely alter the landscape of the Champions League table.
Olivier Ndema Epo has joined me in the studio with a summary of this newscast in the French language. Bon après-midi, Olivier.
Good afternoon, ma palazita.
Le complexe hospitalier La Mamu renouvelle son engagement à l'égard de ses patients. Et dans le cadre de Novembre Bleu, La Mamu met l'accent sur la sensibilisation, le dépistage et la prévention du cancer de la prostate. Le principe de Novembre Bleu est traditionnellement dédié aux problématiques de la santé masculine. La conférence semestrielle des gouverneurs des régions s'est ouverte ce jour à l'hôtel de ville de Yaoundé. Il s'agit de la seconde conférence semestrielle. À cette occasion, les gouverneurs des régions vont s'exprimer sur des problématiques et des séquences de la vie nationale. Hors de nos frontières au Soudan, les forces de soutien rapide, le FSR, ont annoncé hier une trêve humanitaire de 3 mois dans la guerre qui les oppose à l'armée. Cette annonce intervient 24 heures après le rejet par l'armée d'une proposition internationale de cesser le feu. Le conflit qui dure depuis avril 2023 et a causé des dizaines de milliers de morts et des millions de déplacés est aussi à l'origine de la famine qui sévit au Soudan. Sport pour finir, le Cameroun prend part dès le jeudi 27 novembre au championnat du monde de karaté. La compétition va se dérouler au Caire en Égypte. 2 karatékas camerounais vont prendre part à la compétition.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the package we gathered for you on today's Royal Afternoon edition. The 2 p.m. news received technical assistance from Romuald Ekume. Brian Bida took care of the cameras for our social media handles. Production assistance Glorin Gange. Script editing and editorial coaching Abel Bella Samari. Central coordination Roger Kiek, our station manager. And general supervision by the Reverend Pastor Bisai Emmanuel Noel. For news editing and presentation, my name is Mapala Zita. Thank you all for listening, and you have a pleasant afternoon in the company of programs over Royal FM. More news comes up at 6 p.m., which will be a bilingual edition. But before then, Raisa Parker is back here for part 2 of Fresher Royal.